I am suffering, Javal. How are you doing tonight?
We're still alive, people. We haven't died yet. The Jags haven't killed us yet. They had us. They had us for a second, but we came back. Oh,
It's been a while.
it's
A
been a
lot's
season. That was a one.
that
That was one hell of a end of the season. Somehow they swept the Titans, which
welcome, first of all. Second of all, it
ow, no,
did.
no. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
That was just like the
go
weirdest
for it.
thing. Like out of everything, the fact that as bad as the Jags were, I mean, the Titans now have the number one pick, which kind of, yeah, but at the same time, I'm just still surprised. I thought we were gonna at least split them because I feel we always split the Titans. But the one year that, for tanking reasons, we're the reasons we have a number one overall pick because he swept them. It's what I'm 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 not too upset because at the end of the day, we did get to beat the Titans, so I'll take it. I mean, we left with something, and we still got a top five pick, so we didn't fall down to eight or anything crazy.
Yeah, but what was our? I wanted to see what our predictions were at the beginning of the year too. I'm pretty
I
sure I
don't know.
said the
I heard it
floor
was
was like
I was
6
10
and
and 6.
11.
I was 10 and 6. Yeah, I thought the floor was 6. I don't think they lose this many games, but
What a disaster! God, what a disaster! And with that disaster, the writing was on the wall for Doug Peterson. Like we called this shit back in maybe October, like early November even, that it was going to be done. So the fact they just did it he just coached out the season and then immediately once they got back home from Indianapolis after that weird ass delay in the morning, I was like, yep,
and
you're
it was
fired, buddy.
overtime too. I was so upset it was overtime.
I only watched like 30 minutes of that game and it didn't matter to me. So I
Oh,
was at
I
work.
watched the
So
full
it
thing. I
was
was I was watching the full thing, just rubbing my hands, just waiting for a loss to end the Doug Peterson era, just in a flop, and just
poetic
okay.
ending, another one possession loss. Just
Can I talk about just that game, just as a whole?
yeah, because I never watched it. Explain to someone that did not
So
watch that
I
game.
so I watched the full game because I'm a psychopath and I hate myself and I
I
love
would have
Trevor
too if I wasn't
Ball.
at work. That's the thing though. But I was at
And
work.
then I mean, dude, I think the funniest part is that the Jack like literally even when they haven't been great, the Jacks have at least Doug has always been really good versus the Colts in Gus Bradley defense. And then that was the one game where the offense was really struggling versus the Gus Bradley defense, which goes to show you that quarterback play makes a difference. And I think what made me even mad was that BTJ had 7 catches, and honestly feels if most of them didn't come until late. So I'm still just mad because I felt a lot of the creative using, like that was just such the Press Taylor white bread ass game in his last play. It was just such a stale offense. They barely did anything to free him open. They just lined him up and said go. They didn't try to get him creative. Like in the Jets game, we're actually moving him around more in the Titans. They're trying to get him more emotion, even using him as runners in the Titans game. So I know we didn't talk about that obviously, but I remember watching that the last Titans game at home. They had two carries to BTJ and they both got over 15 yards. They didn't even do that in the Colts game. It really just feels as if they knew they were getting fired and they did not try. And they somehow still almost won. But if Trevor plays that game, they win. So I think that's the whole thing is that with the win and loss record, if Trevor plays those games, I really do think they would have won most of them, to be honest, because they could have beat all of those teams. Like they definitely would have beat the Raiders if Trevor plays. And then they probably do beat the Jets if Trevor plays because with Mac, I mean, you see what the ceiling is for the offense. That deep ball is just, yeah,
We saw the
Max.
graph. I saw the graph. Like Trevor's legit one of the best deep ball throwers in the league, which is
So
very
I,
enticing for whoever the next head coach is going to be, which we're going to get to later. We don't got to force that now. So, just the whole offseason situation, I don't think we need to beat around the bush. We knew how the season went. As this is the most checked out I ever been in the Jaguars season in my
that's why
20
we were so
plus
late. We,
years
we
of watching this
apologize for being
team.
so late. We're just checked out.
Yeah,
Watching this team, we just needed a mental break for our health.
didn't do it like our last video was over a month ago, man. Like it was
That's
tough
what
watching a
happened.
team that was already out of playoff contention
That's what
by
happens when you
late
keep Trent
October.
Baalke as GM, my friend. They really did it. Let's just dive straight into it. They really did it, bro. Sorry, my eyes
Man,
bothering me, but
no, you're good. Like It's the definition of
disappointed.
insanity, bro. Like, what
I
is
remember I was, I think I was listening to 1010, and then someone said, "Oh, I'm disappointed they did this, but I'm not that surprised." I'm really not that surprised, honestly. Like, I knew as soon as I saw the Doug only getting fired post, I said, "Wait, what else is there?" So I just like all the excitement. Oh, hold on, I'm just getting water.
Yeah,
Thank
but I
you.
know what
All
Draval is
the
basically trying to
excitement
say.
that I had
Yeah.
from okay, if they actually fire, if they do a clean sweep, yeah, this can get any coach you want. All the excitement I had just Monday was a bad day for me. I don't think Monday was a new low. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
It just feels like the definition of insanity, honestly, at this point. Like,
It's driving me crazy, man. They're literally gonna put the fate of Balky maybe up to a head coach. Even then, he might, at worst, I think he's going to get demoted. I don't think he actually would get fired because Shaw just loves him too much, and that's very obvious to see. For some reason, I don't know why. I mean,
see, it wasn't the news of it happening that made me upset. Believe me, I was pretty upset though. I think what made me more upset was the press conference that happened during the same day afterwards. Can we talk about that press conference
that
as
press
well?
conference was so bad.
It
Oh,
just made Shad Khan
Shad
look
looked
even more
so stupid.
clueless. Yeah,
I'm
he looked
sorry.
more clueless than
You,
we
no,
initially
the
thought.
question when Shad said, "Oh, someone asked why didn't you want to clean house?" He said, "What does clean house mean? Does that mean get a fire all the nutritionists?" I'm sorry.
And the team doctors
Like,
and
no. Are you being just that dense on purpose, or are you really that inept? I'm sorry. You have to be
it's
one or the other, and I don't think
it's
you don't
yeah.
make that much money being that stupid. So
Yeah.
he just whatever. Dude, there was a joke. It was just, oh, if you're in an apocalypse, attach yourself to Trent Baalke's hip and you will survive.
Yeah, it's like if there's a
Okay, that was good.
ever nuclear war
Ah,
ever happens, I'm going with Trent Baalke since he seems to survive everything. At
yeah.
this point, took that from someone on Twitter, but you know,
World might be coming into apocalypse soon, so we actually do. Maybe that's Shaw knew the light everything was going crazy on. Shaw said, you know what? I gotta stay around Trent. So maybe this is just a life insurance policy for Shaw. That's the only explanation. That is the only explanation. Sure, that's the code, John. Stern said, "In the event of a nuclear apocalypse shot, I can protect with my life. Keep me as general manager, and my life is yours." He sold his soul. That's the only reason. You can't convince me otherwise, because it can't be for something football related. That's my copium.
I mean, and it's the crazy part too because immediately, like the day after, I think it was probably the same day too, where it was also reported that they're gonna, whenever the head coaching interviews take place, it's gonna be the head coach's decision that just the head coach now gets to report directly to the owner from now on, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. So now there's this also slight chance that the Jaguars could also just fire Balky anyways after that shit show of a press conference,
I
which
don't
is the
believe it.
most
I'm not
Jags
believing it.
optics.
I'm not believing it. I'm not believing it. I'm not getting my hopes up. You will not fool me once. Shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, you can't get fooled again. I refuse to be tricked. I'm not falling into this trap. I'm not falling into it. As I said, I honestly, I'm fully prepared at this point for us to hire head coach and Bulky still there because there's going to be one coach who's desperate enough to get. There's going to be one head coach who's desperate enough to say, you know what, this is my only chance, my only chance to become a head coach for a while, even if it's with Trent. There might be one coach who's dumb enough to sabotage themselves, so or desperate enough, I should say, because
It's one of
even
32,
even
you know? It's
I
it's one
think
of
there is,
32.
but okay, and then I think there is some truth to, despite the fact that Trent's there, it's still somewhat attractive, mainly just because you have Trevor. So I think Trevor alone will still get you some interest. It's not completely dead in the water job. It's just definitely nerfed. It basically went from like an A attractiveness to a C now, basically.
I'm gonna
'Cause I
go
still think we can.
senile as long as Trent Baalke's still our general manager. Sorry, that's
So
senile. Like Shad Khan also senile for continuing to stick with Trent Baalke when everybody else in the league is saying this is like the dumbest thing you could possibly do. It's like
I just
anybody
don't
with two
understand how
eyes,
he
two
sees
ears, and a
all the
brain can
attention
see.
and thinks to himself, "Man, this maybe this." I just, okay, man, I can't explain it. I can't describe it. Shad is just clearly infatuated with Trent Baalke. I wish I could tell you there's a good reason for that. There's not, my friend. But at this point, the good news is that just the head coaching candidates don't seem too bad. But I'm just prepare for the worst, but still praying for the best.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you just said it to a T. Like, how to know? Because in retrospect, the 2020 two coaches that came in during Peterson's coaching year, I think all of them like flamed out, right? Like, is there anybody that's still left from that 2022 coaching cycle? Like the first coach hired was like Nate Hackett.
Ryan Dable, but even then, he's on very, very thin ice considering he was almost fired. Um,
Yeah,
I guess I think Kevin O'Connell is the
oh
one
yeah,
who's
Kevin O'Connell.
successful. So, there's always, it doesn't work out most of the time. It's just you got to find there's one or two good fish in the pond. You got to try to get
I
them.
mean, it
So
worked out for Peterson for a while until this year, but like I
it
said, they
just,
all should have been fired at the end of last season when they
dude, we were
lost.
asking for Ballgate to be fouled in 2021. That was that after
Yeah, even the
he who shall
Urban,
not
yeah.
be named was there. That's when we were asking him to be fired. He's going to be his third head coach. Like that's just genuinely insane. Most GMs, some GMs are lucky to get even two coaches. Trent has three just on the Jags alone. When his track record in the past has not been good. I just don't under. And the thing is, I think his drafting has been like average-ish, still neglecting important positions, which is why I still don't think it's a good draft because he never, I feel he never really addressed offensive line quite premium enough, which is just my biggest gripe overall. Just still like the trenches of this team for a guy who loves to attack the trenches and build through that way both sides of the ball really haven't been that developed. I mean, the offensive line, it's just been average at best. Like even this year, I didn't think the offensive line was terrible, but they've never been a strength. And how do you not build on a quarterback more? You have a 31-year-old center, a 32-year-old right guard, both of which have been playing in the league for 11 years. They don't have any good backups behind them. We've seen when Luton Forner has played at center. So barring he's taking steroids, which you know what, if it works to him, then I won't tell Goodell. But unless something dramatic happens with Lou Fortner, Cooper Hodges is injured. Javon Foster hasn't
Which
really looked
sucks
good.
because Cooper Hodges is really good in that Philly game and
Yeah,
the week before, and then he fucking dies again. It's like, oh my
it's
God,
just his
bro.
luck. Because I mean, I know they were banking on Cooper and he was going to be an important part. So but even then, that's still a seventh round pick they were
Yeah.
banking on. It's not as if they drafted another guy ahead of him. They still need to go younger on the offensive line because at the very least, you need to get a new right guard or probably it's just
Which
some interior
I'm so
offensive
upset
lineman.
about that. No offense to Britton Strange, but the guy that we all wanted in that pick, I mean, the one
They
I wanted,
traded
oh,
down, which
Sirens
they didn't
Terror.
need to trade down, but they traded down, and then they took Brenton Strange, which even if they didn't take, it's not even if they don't take Osiris, just at least with Fortner, they took a swing at the bat. Like they missed bad, but they took a swing at the bat. I respect them for trying. Like Strange,
2 years, zero allowed sacks at a guard taken in the second round in the NFL draft.
and he was like they traded down. They said nope. That's just been my biggest gripe, more so than anything, is like the offensive line. And I feel the tackles. I mean, look, I think Anton for that is,
Good.
I'll
He's a
criticize
good
that.
player.
Anton was a good pick. I think he's still a little up and down, but I think he has a trajectory to become a pretty good tackle at the very least. You spent premium capital in the offensive line. Trevon, like, I think the first round has been okay. The fir I mean, Devin Lloyd wasn't in the first round. And the first round actually pretty solid, but
ETN before this year was actually pretty good, and then this year, it's just we don't know what the fuck happened, honestly. Like I can't even explain to you like I
The-
like ETN as a player, but it just felt everything was off for some reason.
yeah, I still think he can bounce back. I still
Yeah.
saw some juice end of the year, I think, as a
Yeah.
receiver. I
And
still
also
think
running the football. If he had that hold, he'd hit it and get like 7, 8 yards, which you want from your running back,
I
you know?
still think that he has a shot. I mean, and then even going back to the first round, obviously, literally the biggest finesse. Somehow he's the greatest finesse of all time. He just miraculously got his BTJ in a trade down, which that's literally the only reason he's employed. I literally, if that trade did not happen, I'm pretty sure he'd be fired because we would have had like 2 wins or something. But I
It's
don't know
funny
how
too, because when retrospect, you would have probably taken Brian Thomas at the 17th pick and you wouldn't have been upset.
he wouldn't have got a 17.
Yeah.
Like if we know what he'd have known now, which honestly, that is like the one. I guess the other one saving. I mean, this draft, we'll see about Mason Smith because I think he
No,
has some
I
flaws,
he was flashing
but
like
he
last
just
month of the
needed to play
season.
more. And the reason he didn't play was because of the one of the things that bothered me was one of the reasons that a high draft pick at Trenches didn't play more was due to the fracture because the coaching staff and the general manager didn't have a good relationship.
And
Like,
that's the thing though.
and we're
And I
gonna
think
try to
in
do
a
that. Like,
I think in that same press conference when they announced Trent and Doug or somewhere in between him and Doug being fired, Trent said, if we're picking top five again, I should not be in this job. So the fact that he said
oh,
that and
he's gonna be in the top 7 next year, and he's gonna say, "Look, shot, I wasn't in the top 5. Congratulations."
the facts that only this
And then
organization can do
I think
this.
Jarian play. I feel his draft thing has been like a little bit better, but at the same time, his free agency, like it's just gotten
Gabe
worse.
Davis.
And on top of that,
Gabe
he helped recruit
Davis.
Ryan Nielsen to Jacksonville, and we were all excited at first, and we saw how bad Nielsen was. So. He's had his hands on the defense, and the defense has progressed so poorly. And I still think they can bounce back just literally with a good coach. I don't think the talent's fully bad, which I guess kind of is Trent, but also Eric Armstead. Dude, that comment about Eric Armstead, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play defensive tackle next year. Dude, my guy, you literally, it wasn't even just the team himself. I'm pretty sure it was announced that it was a mutual agreement between him and the team for him to play defensive end more. Because I remember people were asking that, oh, was it a you question or just the team? And he said, no, me and my agent, we talked about it too. Unless I'm mistaken. So it wasn't, which I guess will
Dysfunction,
now.
confusion, and just apathy at this point. It's just like,
I
oh my.
mean, like, so there's that, the interior defensive line, which they tried to make good a strength. That was probably the biggest weakness. And I think that was just the biggest downfall of the defense. They didn't have any great interior push. And I think, which is why I think they should take a certain player at 5 overall, but we'll get there later. But it's just the defense that Trent invested so much money into was not that good. And I think that like,
Not that good. We were in the
you can say
worst in
the
the
offense
fucking
wasn't good.
league.
You
We
can
were
say
the
the
worst in
offense
the
was
fucking
bad.
league at defense.
You can say
Don't
the
don't
offense,
sugarcoat it.
yeah, it was
The
terrible.
defense was the worst in the league this season. It's
You
just the
can
fact that we played dog shit at the end of the season. Jets, Raiders,
even in
Titans,
that
that
Jets
it wasn't
game.
even worse. And we were still like, if we were not, we were last in total defense in the league at the end of the year, right?
Somehow we were still slightly better than the Panthers,
But still,
but yeah,
we were
dude,
playing dog
it
shit week in and week out, and we finished last
it's the
or
fact
almost
that
last.
you can say that, oh, if the offense was bad because of Doug, well, the defense is bad because of Trent, like both sides of the ball. And Trent's side is worse. So it's not even that's the part that frustrates me the most, that he's very much responsible. And I don't know what Shad sees where he can say the roster has been a little bit better, but even still, it's been poorly mismanaged. It hasn't, even if the roster's gotten better, there still hasn't been misses. It's not been a perfect record. So, especially in free agency, because I don't even, I don't even consider Gabe Davis as starting anymore. So, he's not on the roster to me.
I mean, I don't even want to talk about roster construct until you figure out who the
We're just
fuck's our
gonna have
head
to
coach next
slander these
season.
players into playing well next year.
Yeah. All
That's
right,
what we're gonna have.
we'll cut the bullshit. Jaguars, awful. Uh, Firing head coach, it was gonna happen since October. We knew that. Keeping Trent Baalke, awful. Press conference, the worst shit show that I've ever seen in my fucking life. And now the coaching candidates, which apparently all of them accepted the interviews, unless you're like New England, how they fucking treated Jared Mayo as a fucking disgrace. And I will,
Dude,
like, what the
no, they
fuck?
they not only did they fire Mayo, but right after they interviewed Pep Hamilton and Byron
And
Leftwich
to
for the head
fulfill their
coaching
Rooney
job.
rule, what are we doing? Two guys that are not in the NFL, like, yeah, I'm sorry, Jamal. I mean, yeah, me too, actually. But we're both Rooney rule. God fucking damn it. Oh no. Oh no.
That's crazy, but
And then Aaron Glenn declined them, which is hilarious. The only team that Aaron Glenn said no to was the Patriots, which,
yeah, I shot. That's the thing. I think all the coaches are still going to interview here. There's been a lot of reports saying, oh, the coaches can go in the press conference or the interview and basically say,
Zoom
yeah,
call like we're
I
doing
want.
right now.
They just said, I want Trent gone. Just put a gun to his head, say, I want this guy out of here.
I don't have a
Will
gun.
not actually listen.
I don't have a gun. I'll just use my LeBron soldier. Can we kick him out? Just give him the
But
boot. Give him the boot. Give
my
him the boot out of here.
my biggest fear is that there's going to be a candidate who, even if he didn't give the exact best plan, even if he just did good enough, where Shad said, this guy will work with Trent and this speech wasn't too bad and he's going to give him the job, instead of actually getting him the coach he wants the most, because he's still just, I just don't believe that Trent is going to be fired at this. Like, I just can't, at this point, I refuse to think that that's a realistic possibility. I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm just stuck in this gloom and doomsday scenario where until they fire Trent, I just think that something is going to be bad. So they've ruined me, dude. That's just how I'm a sad man. I hate to say it, but like I just no matter they could hire Jesus Christ as head coach, and I still think that in the event if he had to let one person go, Shaw would keep Trent.
Over the Son of God himself is actually
Jesus
crazy.
Christ. Jesus Christ could lead this team to a 17-0 record, and it has to say it's either me or Trent. And Shaw would say goodbye, Jesus. That's my thinking. I'm not joking when I say that. Until
Oh.
Trent is actually fired, I just refuse to think that even if they get Ben Johnson somehow and Trent is there, I still don't think it would work out. I just have a gut feeling. It's just the snake. There's a snake in this org, man. So I just until this bad vibes is out, the aura is just negative. So with the negative aura, I can't mess with it. This is what you've done to me, Trent John Balky. I hate you.
Yeah, I'm gonna formulate my thoughts when I get some waters, but once I get back, let's talk about some of the head coaching candidates. Let me get a water myself, actually. Talk
No
to the
worries.
people for like 30 seconds.
Okay. Well. Hello, y'all. If y'all are in the mood for any athleisure clothing, you should come check us out at y'all gym yet. I have custom-made bucket hats, sweatpants, t-shirts, shorts, all of your athleisure needs. I also do some custom orders, so if you ever have any ideas you might want for a shirt, some sweatpants, let me know. I'm actually wearing some sweatpants myself. I'm very comfortable. Made them for breast cancer awareness. So, as I say, if you're in the mood for any custom or need any custom athleisure, that is y'allgymyet.com, y'allgymyet.com. And yeah, one of my personal passions is to start a business that helps promote the lifestyle of how people to exercise a little bit more. It's not just about exercise and going to the gym. It's more so just about living a comfortable lifestyle, getting your exercise in as much as you can. I have some new stuff coming out as well. I have some wristbands. So as I said, y'allgymyet.com. Check us out if you need some cool stuff. And we're back to the show, John.
What are you talking about, Jamal?
I literally just gave the promo breakdown. The
Hey,
30
y'all
second
gym
ad
yet?
break. That was perfect.
Y'all gym yet?
But yeah, head coaching candidates.
I mean, like we were saying earlier, the polls for this coaching cycle is much better than it was in 2022, but that's also in retrospect. This candidate shit can go even worse than last time. Who fucking
Yeah,
knows?
you
Like
can candidates can look good in person and then you actually interview.
execution. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's when it turns to poop. So we
Do we
can
have the list of people in front of us?
I'm
Like,
pulling it up right now. So
Let me get my phone too and look it
I'm
up.
pretty sure they upped it to 10 people, which two of which were defensive coordinators. So obviously, I think even Trevor at this press conference, he was saying, "Oh, I would prefer a offensive head coach," but he still wants a leader of men. So I'm just pulling up the head coaching candidates right now as you see, because there's 10 in total. So there was the initial eight, which I'm pulling up at the moment, but I thought I could find it. I know it was obviously the two big names were Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, Liam Cohen as the top three people we're interested in. Then also Kellen Moore was on the interview list. Todd Monk was on the interview list. It was Patrick Graham, defensive coordinator from the Ravens, on the interview list. And then Aaron Glenn was
Not the
on the interview
Ravens,
list.
the
Oh, and
Raiders.
Robert Saleh. It was three defensive guys, five defensive guys at first. It was Saleh, Patrick Graham, Aaron Glenn, and then they also changed it to 10 or five defensive guys because they wanted to interview Steve Spagnuolo and Brian Flores for so 10 interviews in total, which all I think are pretty is, I think all of which have a good pedigree. Like, we can kind of go through all 10 of them because I think
Yeah.
on their
Let's start from the bottom all the way up, and then we can
okay,
look
yeah,
at
I finally
who
pulled up the picture after I just had to pull it up from
I
memory.
have the Jaguars website with all the names on here
Yeah.
myself
So
personally.
we'll start at the top with Kellen Moore, which I guess is
Yeah.
probably the
It's
least.
that's your least out of
I,
your choices.
I asked the Cowboys fan just what are his thoughts. He said that his scheming isn't bad, but just as a leader of men, I don't know. It just I guess I'll see. I'm not hugely interested in Kellen Moore, but
That's the thing
mm,
though. The thing that
it's not
interests
the worst. Like he has had a lot of experience calling plays
I
in
was
the
gonna
league.
say, yeah, that's the
And
thing about him
I
is
don't think he's
that
been a bad offensive coordinator. I think he's just been a fine. I don't think he's
he's
been a
been a
great.
victim of circumstance, which it would be perfect if
I
he's
mean,
the
he
head
did have
coach
some
here.
good offenses in the league with the Cowboys. Even then, I don't think it was. I think it was fine play calling, but not anything crazy in terms of scheme. I don't think he's a bad play caller. I just don't think he's anything really innovative, if that makes sense. So
Hmm.
I'm not saying an offense with Colmore couldn't be solid. I just don't know if it would be elite. Then obviously they have Todd Monken, who's now calling plays with the Ravens, who's also in the NFL before. I remember there was Jags fans who were interested in him when he was with the coaching for the Bucks when Jameis was airing it out. Which honestly, if you put Monken, Trevor, and BTJ in an offense, and he gets if he can mesh some of the Baltimore offense, but also some of the more explosive Arian style airing out offense. Trevor and BTJ, like if you just get him the O line to take the shots down the field with Brian Thomas Jr., I I wouldn't hate Monken either, which he's a little bit older, so I don't know how much of a rah guy he is, but he is a pretty good play caller. So I think Monken has been, and we see it now in the NFL where Lamar Jackson. I obviously at Georgia they won two national titles,
Hmm.
and then Stetson Bennett looked good. Like Monken's just been a pretty good play caller, both in college and the NFL. And the fact that he was in the NFL and then college and then the NFL again, so he kind of has a mix of, both college. He understands both games. So
Hmm.
I'd be
It's
fine
not just
with him.
yeah, for sure.
And then next, Joe Brady, who speaking of college and NFL, was Joe Burrow's college, the play caller at LSU when they had that national title run,
It's
2019.
it's crazy since I was interested in him during the Urban Meyer coaching search too. That was one
Yeah.
who I really, really wanted
And
back in
then he's
2021.
he's been his time in the league, and we see him now in Buffalo. So it's kind of saying with Moore, I don't know how much of a leader. I do think he is a good play caller, and he just has some college experience. So we'll see how it goes with Joe Brady because I wouldn't, as I said, if they get a good offensive play caller and then just a defensive corner who can help just be the culture guy. Because I think that's kind of with Kevin O'Connell. I don't mind trying to say he's not a leader of men, but at the very glance, his persona doesn't seem very much of a guys are going to rally around him like that. But then just seeing how he's led the team and he's been a good play caller at both, I think it's possible, even if he can kind of grow into a leader with the play calling. If the play calling works and the team buys into everything, then he can grow into a leader. So I guess we'll see with Joe Brady. And then next is probably the second most popular name, Liam Cohen from Tampa, who I think is probably the most likely. There's been rumors out there that he was
Especially
excited.
since the Jaguars were the first team to offer him to begin with for an interview, and no other like
Yeah,
teams that you could.
The Raiders interviewed him shortly. I think it's just I'm not sure who else besides the Raiders have requests.
I
It's
think it's
I think it's
Jacksonville and Vegas.
yeah, so I think he's, younger guy, about to be 40.
Been
I
around
think it
the
kind of
been around the McVay like tree forever, even at like
yeah,
39.
I feel the McVay tree's been pretty good. I guess the only McVay coach that isn't that good is Zach Taylor, but with his last name, are you that surprised he's not that good of a coach? Maybe he just runs in the family. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I like the very exotic running schemes that we saw in Tampa this season, though. That's what intrigues me, like how creative, not in the passing game, but in the running game, Cohen's offenses have been. They made a rookie running back like one of the top rushers in the whole league year one. So that's a name that, if you ask me what's the most likely the Jaguars are gonna hire, I would think Liam Cohen is most likely if you ask me today, just out of gut feeling. He's definitely most likely. He's not
Name
my
that was
favorite just because of that youth, but it's the NFL. It's a dog eat dog kind of game, so you just gotta adapt quickly. Hopefully, you're a leader, and yeah, look at the cat
hold on.
right there.
Give me a second.
Hmm.
Driving me a little bit crazy.
A lot of water drinking today, guys. But I wouldn't hate Liam Cohen. I think he knows how to run an offense.
Yeah, Lee Combs probably if they don't get Ben Johnson, which is the next candidate we can talk about, just jump straight into. I know a lot of people want Cohen, but Ben Johnson's obviously
The
the
favorite.
one who
It's yeah,
you watch that Detroit Lions
and
offense,
you're like,
and he's just
especially
out
the
there.
game. That fucker scored 50 plus points against our fucking ass. Like,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
were just out there doing things, bro.
belt like that was
Weren't
the
even-
definition of B2A, belt to ass. Like the Jaguars are getting their ass beat for 4 quarters and they didn't fucking stop. Like that's the shit that I want in Jacksonville. Whether that's offense, defense, whatever the fuck, I want that mentality, belt to ass. I want to dominate fuckers, man. We don't have that shit. We don't have that mentality. And that
I
pisses
think
me
it's
off.
just interesting that they put the offensive candidates first, just even
No,
on that.
okay,
And then
so from what
Aaron,
I know personally, they want none of that Press Taylor bullshit, who's to play caller type of bullshit, which, pissed off everyone since basically day one since Doug Peterson got here. So whoever the head coach is going to be is going to have like a clear who's running the offense. I want Trevor to be, he's a generational guy that's never panned out because he's been put in dog shit situations. Let's not put him in a dog shit situation. He's our franchise. We just paid him millions and millions of fucking dollars. Like, so I think it's mostly going to be an offensive guy, but it's funny because the number one guy is a defensive guy. We can talk about it a little bit later because he's coming up on the list.
yeah, I'm very curious. If I had to bet, I would bet that it is an offensive player, or offensive coach. But the next coach, also from Detroit, is Aaron Glenn, former Jag. So
Number one guy right there for me. But I'm very consistent. The last time the Jaguars was trying to hire head coach, my number one choice was Byron Leftwich. Maybe I'm just a sentimental prick,
see,
but
the I think the reason I wouldn't mind Aaron Glenn if Aaron Glenn comes here and he can bring Brunell with him. And then even if you don't get Ben Johnson, you still get Brunell, but you also get a defensive-minded head coach, a young defensive-minded head coach who can help rally players. I would also be really into that just because if you have Brunell, which obviously he was a quarterback coach, so as a play caller, he's yeah, that's usually how it goes next in line. He was in that tree. And obviously Brunell having the Jacksonville tie. Like if Brunell is the play caller to turn Trevor Lawrence around, I think for him, like out of all the places for him to make a legacy as a coach, him making a Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence would just be the most huge in terms of just his overall general clout. Like you see what I'm saying though? If Brunell came back
it's
and
legit
signed to turn
vibes. The Jaguars would be all vibes at that point. It's like You get the
And
coach that
Brunel is
everybody
actually
wants.
good, which there's
You
no
get
guarantee Brunel is good. I mean, he is a former
SOC.
quarterback, so he's been in the system. I think it makes sense. Like, it's
Well,
not
that's
even a
the
logical move to hire a quarterback coach to be an offensive coordinator. If that would, like, it makes sense too. It's not even just he's doing it only because he played quarterback here, but he should at least on paper be qualified for the role of play
But
caller.
that's the thing, though. That's a first time play caller for an offense that you want to establish. That
Yeah,
goes either there's two places that can go, and more
that is
likely,
very valid. So I guess that is the one thing where I have the most reserve, but I still think it could work because just based off vibes alone, there's no way it couldn't work, right? There's no way it couldn't work.
I mean, his name is on the side of the stadium. Like, it's legit inside the stadium. His name is
If
on the
he's bad,
wall.
he couldn't live it down. I feel he would have to be coached a little bit harder, like he'd have to just, I can't be bad here, or else they'll boo me.
That's the thing, bro. It's all sentiment at the end of the day with it. But the reason why I have Aaron Glenn as my personal number one, look at all the injuries they have in Detroit this year. Look at the guys on IR on defense, the best pass rusher, some of their best linebackers, some of their best secondary players. They had some like random second string corner covering Justin Jefferson, biggest game of the season, game for
Hey,
number one
respect to
seed
Nick
in the
Robertson.
NFC. Like
I actually kind of
nine
wanted him playing
points.
people here.
9 points again. The team that was like firing on all cylinders on this big win streak going into this final matchup only allowed 9 points against Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, like Aaron Jones, Sam Darnold, like a very, very good offense with all the injuries in the world. That mentality that Aaron Glenn brings, the pedigree that he was as a player, all pro player, Pro Bowl player, played in many different places. Hell, played in Jacksonville. He put on this team black and teal, and he went to the playoffs the one year that he was a Jaguar. Everywhere that he's done, everything that he's done as a player, as a scout, as a coach, he's been done everything in this league. Whoever is gonna get Aaron Glenn, I guarantee he's gonna be a very, very good head coach. He's gonna be a head coach for a long time in this league. Like that's the one guy that I can see that's like gonna be a
The next kind of Dan
mainstay
Campbell in that
forever.
mold.
Yeah, exactly. Like around the end of October, November, especially whenever Trevor got hurt against the Texans and the head coach just you know, showed more blame towards the players than like Aziz El Shair and D'Amico Ryans after the fact. That left a terrible taste in my stomach. Like, that's your guy. That's the guy that you're paying millions of dollars to be the leader in the face of this franchise, and you don't defend him like once during that fucking
Yeah, Doug was
debacle.
tired of.
Like, it was just pussy shit, man. Like, I want a guy that will fight for the players. I won't allow bullshit like that. That will get angry if something like that happens to, especially the face of this franchise. And that's why I feel like Aaron Glenn is my number one choice. Now, the fact that we know that they probably want an offensive guy as the head coach for this team, it's probably not going to happen. But hey, hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe they hire my guy. Maybe he gets rid of Balky. Like, fuck if I know, you know? But that's just the guy that think that I will bang the table for and I think will be good. I could be very wrong, but just eye test, ear test, everything that you knowledge check, like everything I know about Aaron Glenn, he has a promise of like a really good head coach in the NFL for me.
Hard to top that for next two coaches, which Patrick Graham, who was the Giant.
Defensive coordinator for the Raiders.
Yeah, for the Ra I know he used to be for the Giants and for the Raiders, which I mean, Grand Raiders defense hasn't been great this year. I mean, they did beat us, so that's something. But well, I think Graham has been interesting in the past before. Obviously, this season's kind of been meh, but also this could be a Rooney Rule interview, unfortunately. So
Where do you reach Rooney Rule with Aaron Glenn and
I
Robert
know, I
Saleh
mean,
anyways?
yeah. So I'm actually just curious how we're interested in there on Graham because I'm not. I think out of all the defensive coaches, probably one I'd want the least. He's never been a head coach before, and I'm also just worried about who would offensive player you take from the street. I don't have that much confidence. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then with at least with Bob Sala, or as
Rob
Mia
Saleh.
calls him, Bob Salad. So Honestly, I think
I
I
would
know
be
they want Saleh as
very,
defensive coordinator.
yeah, I mean
I'm
that
wondering how
would be
much of
cool.
this is interviews that, hey, even if you don't hire you as a head coach, do you
We'll
want to
make
be
you like the
the
highest paid defensive coordinator if you come here. Like, please, like, just please come here in some
I'm
capacity.
very curious. Yeah, wondering how that. I love to be fun while
He
nerd.
was 9-8 with Zach fucking Wilson as quarterback. Like, I'd
Yeah,
take that even as head
yeah, the
coach,
Jets,
man.
if he can even just get kind of what this was before,
He's used to
orchestrate.
dysfunction. Welcome
I
to
wouldn't hate
Jacksonville. We're
I
the
wouldn't
kings of
hate Saleh
dysfunction.
if he wanted to come back and coach again. If he actually did get honest someone from the Shanahan tree and it works out not too bad, then you know what? I think it could work. But I do think I'm wondering if he just ends up doing defensive coordinator, which either way, as long as he's on the staff, I think he's a better coach than what was given of him, considering he just was terrible quarterback play. And
Forced
he
with
kind of
bad
forced
offensive
Aaron Rodgers.
coordinator. Forced with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he was just dealt a shit
He
hand
was
in
dealt a
Pittsburgh.
bad hand. Yeah, he was playing Balacho, and that hand was not good.
Damn,
I
you're
started
gonna make
playing,
me
by the
want.
way, so
Wait, you started playing Balatro?
yes.
Oh no, what you think?
We talk about that after.
Yeah, I got someone to talk about it with now. But yeah, no, that it's just a shit situation in Jacksonville. But hey, we're here together. We're talking about it. We can talk about since your one is Ben Johnson and my one is Aaron Glenn. It's funny. We just want Detroit to come to Jacksonville. We want our big cat team sister to just lend us a hand. Y'all beat our ass. Can we get something from the ass
Twice
beating?
in 3 years. But I'm just wondering, you know, there's also Steve Spagnuolo and Brian Flores, which
Oh, you know what? The
Flores I think was
defensive
also
guys.
kind of similar to Saul in that the Dolphins. I mean, Tua wasn't a bad quarterback, and the Dolphins weren't bad, but they were just
Yeah,
kind of
Flores legit like that situation though is just like Doug Peterson. If he's gonna do that to a quarterback before, if one thing goes wrong, what makes me think that he isn't gonna do it again? Like,
yeah.
you
That's the
know,
one thing with Flores. I think he's a great defensive play
oh
caller.
yeah, I'd love
I
that
just
kamikaze defense in Jacksonville. I'd take that. Fuck it. Like cover zero, send six guys on third down. Fuck it. I love that shit. But it's also like, like if you're gonna
I
treat that
just
as
don't know
player
how he could
management,
be as
yeah.
offensive, just to lead the offensive mind. So that's why I have some reservations with Flores. But the same with Spags, because obviously, I mean, the very most, if we take Spags and that makes the Chiefs defense be kind of bad, if we're the ones to stop the three-peat, we have to be a
A
worthy
four-peat, I
sacrifice, a
guess. If
necessary sacrifice, a small price to pay for salvation. But and that's the thing. Zach was a head coach before. I feel with Spags, out of all the coordinators, why would he would not come here without Balky for sure because he definitely has the most pull of I'm the defensive coordinator for a team that's really
one
probably gonna it's
I've
probably
won. How many rings do I have?
he already has 4 rings.
Uh, uh.
He
Like
has
I
a
got
chance to become literally one of the greatest defensive coordinators in NFL history when he gets he's let's be real, they're probably gonna need that fifth one. So why on earth would he want to leave such a good situation in Kansas City to work with a GM who he probably doesn't agree with in bulky, which unless he is into bulky, because he's probably gonna want somebody just from the Kansas City tree from the general manager, which if it's the right GM, but I have a hard time seeing Spags actually saying, you know what, I'll take this job with Bulky here. Like out of all the candidates, I feel there's a who do we want the most, and then the who do we think is the most likely to work with Bulky. And that's kind of scares me is that I feel like Shad's gonna kind of be a fusion of the two. Because there's definitely gonna be one coach who says, you know what, I don't love Trent, but this is my time to coach Trevor, which is why I think it probably will be an offensive guy.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you think Balky's gonna stay. I'm gonna be the forever. We're back to our old positions from day one. You're gonna be forever doom and gloom. I'm gonna be the positive optimist that we're
Nothing has
finally
ever
gonna do.
changed. I
No,
love
it's
this.
it all it all
It all
goes
comes
back
full
to square.
circle.
This is the Jaguars. We're always back to square fucking one, no matter what. I fucking hate it. But I feel like it's the funniest Jaguar situation that we've had as like the coaching situation, but yeah, like this fucking team like pisses me off, but I feel like we're gonna get what we want at the end of the day. Like, I don't know.
I don't I'm not I
You're
refuse to
not
be
following
fooled.
to it. That's fine. You don't have to follow
I'm
it.
not falling for your trap card.
I get it. I truly do. But okay, out of your dream scenario, give me your top three, and then give your top three of what you think is most likely going to happen.
Okay, my top three probably is Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, and then honestly Aaron Glenn. I think that makes the most sense.
In like a dream world, yeah. Like I'm glad
Out
I
of
got to
the
talk you into putting him in the top. I was telling this to one of our friends, Johnny, also from Orlando. Shout out to Johnny Malone. But yeah, he legit after I told him why I thought Aaron Glenn, like I told you, was my number one pick. He's like, yeah, now I'm like 55-45, like Ben Johnson, but you got me like excited over the idea of someone like an Aaron Glenn in the office. But
I think the Brunel vibes, if there's any
that's the
offense,
thing though. I think
if there's
Brunel
any first time play
follows.
caller for it to happen,
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville with Mark
if there's
Brunel.
any time for Brunel to be a first time play caller, it kind of has to be here if you get Aaron Glenn.
Hmm.
And if he just learned half of what Ben Johnson did, so because obviously I feel if you get an offensive, like if you get, I think the most exciting part is that for the offensive guys, they're all first time head coaches and they're all going to play callers. Even Munkin, which honestly I might prefer Munkin over Brady if I had to pick a fourth. I think
Yeah.
Brady would be fine, but I think Munkin, he might be able to be a little more culture because he's older and understands it, while also still being a really good schemer and play caller. So. I think in terms of the play callers, all the offensive play callers are pretty solid. It's just there's always a chance there could be somebody last minute who interviews who messes up
Hmm.
the pool. Because even now, the fact that they already announced two more candidates, what happens if there's one more? So, because honestly, there's some board. I don't want to speak it into existence. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything
Yeah,
negative.
we're gonna go to that later, what you think's gonna happen. But what I want to happen first, since you had your share, I think my number one guy, we already said, is Aaron Glenn. Culture, culture, culture. I will bang the table on culture. Whoever's gonna change that around first is the guy that I want. And I just don't think that he's going to be here, sadly, which is fine because for what we talked about, offense is king in the NFL. And that they pay Trevor Lawrence is the most paid guy on the roster, so they got to appease to that. Even if Shad Khan said we don't want Aaron Rodgers 2.0, you're hiring coach to help the quarterback that you paid 200 plus million to. But number two, it's Ben Johnson, right? Like the offense was fun. We want that shit in Jacksonville. Even get like half of that bullshit in Detroit that we get in Jacksonville.
You don't
Like,
need to do all that trick plays. Just call a good offense, which obviously starts with the fact that the Lions had a great offensive line and us here, not really. So
we'll see. But and then my number three pick, God, we're just kind of scraping like not the bottom of the barrel for number three because they're all really good guys. Since I think culture is important and I seen him win with bullshit around him, I'm gonna go solid number three, man. I just have a very good feeling that solid does really good second chance opportunity. Just
yeah,
like
I
what
wouldn't
it
hate it.
reminds me of is God, what's the Bucks coach name again? It's on the tip
Todd
of my tongue.
Bowles.
Yeah, it's basically Bulls situation again in like Tampa. Let alone he doesn't get to take over a Super Bowl winning
Oh
team, but
yeah, Todd Bowles did coach for the
the
Jets,
Jets,
even if his
and then he
minor didn't
goes
have a
to
good quarter. Wait a second, went to a Florida team.
and gets two division titles 2 years in a row. I mean,
You might be
that's
onto something.
it's not a shit situation at the end of the day. Like
I
going with a
think just having
guy.
the Trevor gives them a decent floor, which even if the offense isn't elite, just having Trevor says, okay, your offense has a chance to be good. You don't have to worry, which I think is going to give coaches a shot because they're going to look at the division as a whole being pretty weak, saying, hey, if I can just win 10 games, that might be all I need to win the division, even if you probably can still maybe get a wild card. Because really, you have kind of the media pressure. Expectations aren't that high. I know they're high in the building where trust if they want to make the playoffs, but let's be real. If they miss the playoffs and then that means Sean has to fire Trent, then you know what? I wouldn't even
That's the
be there.
thing, though. I don't want a head coach that will also be martyred if Trent Baalke is like fired, if it fails again,
There's
which more
no,
likely
I don't even
not, it
want.
is gonna happen if he's still in the building next season. Like
Yeah, I
that's
just
why
think
that's
after a
why
certain, this has to be his last head coach, right? If he gets a fourth head coach, then I think I might not be alive because at that point, shot, what are you doing? Like if this goes poorly in 3 years and we're back here again in 2028 with the opening of the new stadium, and then Trent is still the general manager, and we're just saying what the actual hell, like then at that, but I think even just now, he kind of has to know, okay, this is my last straw.
like you're right, it's doesn't change until he's fucking gone, but
The Jags are bad until they're not, John.
forever and always. But God, I forgot what I was gonna say when you went on that like little ramble. Like at the end of the day, I don't think a head coach, at least a good head coach, takes this job without synergy with the general manager. So that's why I didn't have someone like Liam Cohen in my top three because I have a feeling that he'd be okay working in Balky since this is his first go around. He'd be kind of eager to kind of jump at the gun and get a head coaching position. And he just was like, "Oh, I'll just deal with the general manager stuff later." That never really turns out well ever in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like the only
Never-
situation where maybe it is like the Eagles after they fired Doug Peterson. But even then, a lot of Eagles fans like talk shit about Sirianni until like the second half of the season when they started cooking. Like legit, it's always been a thing in the NFL. Like when does it ever be successful for a general manager to get a second, third, God forbid, fourth head coach in the NFL? Never happens. That's why I feel like my best case
And Howie at
scenario.
least won a Super Bowl too on that resume. So
Mhm.
Trent just went to a Super Bowl, but he didn't win it. So he doesn't have that extra juice.
Whoever can convince Shad Khan to get rid of that fucking snake that is running our football team that has been in the building since Dave Caldwell was general manager, mind you. Like, it just dead with the stigma about how he never does a full fucking reset whenever we fire anyone. He hasn't done a full reset since 2013.
Yeah,
That
it's
was 11 years
nuts.
ago. I
It's
was still
nuts.
in fucking high school in 2013. And we're stuck here talking about this bullshit to this day. Like,
It's honestly, we'll see. I mean, what they saw with the Raiders, how they said they were keeping their GM, and then they fired him promptly after. So, but I'm
Tom
not
Brady
getting my
has
hopes up.
influence in that building,
I'm not getting
apparently.
my hopes up. I'm not getting my hopes up.
But also, you have to figure out your quarterback situation because you're stuck with Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, or whatever quarterback gets in this draft this year. And you have to go up against the AFC West. It's just like the
They're
Chicago
selling the
job.
farm for Shador. You heard it first.
Yeah,
They're
but
selling the
still,
farm for.
Chicago job as well. Like, are you gonna really do that when you gotta face the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers twice a year? Hey, you're going to come to Jacksonville. We have the Texans. Their quarterback played like dog shit to end the season. You got the Titans. They had the number one overall pick. You have the Colts. I don't know if their quarterback can
This
throw a
is
football
our cult.
consistently.
This is our team. We
We
bleed.
love, oh, we bleed.
That's
Yeah.
that's all you need.
Like,
Well, man, we'll see how this goes because with all things Jags, once it all comes back in the end, I'm negative. I'm the pessimist. You're the optimist.
I need
My
to
glass is not even half empty. The glass is broken into pieces, and I stepped on the glass, and now I'm bleeding out, about to die.
yeah, I gotta change this bottle out for a whiskey bottle after thinking about the worst case scenario for this team, which more likely than not is gonna happen.
I'm just prepared for this is going. It's going to be so fun when we come back here in 3 years, and then we say Trent Baalke's still the
Oh,
GM.
I'm gonna kill myself again. But yeah, we didn't talk about most likely scenario. So what do you think is most likely to least likely? Top three, or like just like a guy that
Top
you
three
think,
most likely.
yeah, or
I'm going
just
to
like
say Liam Cohen, Robert Saleh, Kellen Moore.
that's your three.
Yeah, I think. I think Kellen Moore might be saying, hey, because I feel he's been a good coordinator, but he hasn't gotten that much head coaching buzz.
I
At
mean, he's
least
been interviewing, but he's never really been like a serious like candidate that someone says like, yeah, that's our guy,
I think he felt like he said, oh, maybe this is my if he says, you know what, I'll work with Trent, and Liam Cohen says, I want my guy, and Chad has to pick, and Colin Moore is calling crow routes. That's all I'm saying. That's just why. Which could be worse play callers, but still. I know that I feel the reason that if we get a subpar coach, it's gonna and Bulky's still there, that's gonna be the reason why, which is what I'm prepared for. So
Okay. Number one, most likely. I'm going to say it now because I changed this last minute. I think number one is Ben Johnson for most likely, just because he's taking the last year interview. He's doing three teams beforehand, and he's got the last spot for Jacksonville. I'm not the first one to think of this idea, but my idea is before the head coaching search, we heard rumblings that this was the one spot that he wanted the most. The fact that they kept Trent Baalke, though, is the most baffling to him and his camp, especially since Brunel is in his, coaching room every single week, gets to know about Jacksonville, whatever. He probably has talked about it to him in, passing, probably. Probably wants clarity. Probably wants to say, hey, this is what I've been offered by everyone else that wants to make me head coach. You can give me this, give me the GM. If you want to give me more, great. I wanted this job to begin with. I can turn Trevor Lawrence to the quarterback prospect that everybody thought he was going to be since he came out in 2021 in the NFL and just give me like full control. Trust me. Like I can be the one to give the city the Super Bowl, and especially for someone like Mark Brunell who will be on my staff. That's why I think that's number one. And especially since Cohen can't interview until Tuesday, that gives Ben Johnson the big advantage. Two, it will be Liam Cohen, just because I think he'd be more likely to work with Balky, and that will be why Balky probably pushes someone like Cohen to work with him. Number three, I'll probably just go Kellen Moore, just because just someone that doesn't seem too inspiring, that will probably be desperate to get a head coaching job too. Like, how desperate are the teams are? Which is the first domino gonna fall?
yeah, I think that's what I wanted to ask is
Who's
when
the
do we think is going to be who do you think is it when is the first head coach going to be hired? That's
It's
what I'm
gonna
really
be New England with Vrabel, I think.
that would be so hilarious, but I'll
But
be
that's the thing though, is like that's everybody's kind of saw everybody thought of
maybe he
that
would take the
immediately when they
Saints job if the because I thought of all the jobs in the NFL,
but is the
either
Saints job even
The Saints or the Jets are probably the one that's the least appealing just because I mean at least with the Saints I mean I guess Derek Carr can be okay in certain scenarios, but even then
they're
that's
in
a
cap hell still.
yeah, so your team's not going to get much better. The Jets, I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback next year. So I feel those teams,
They interviewed Rex Ryan the other day.
yeah,
Like what
no,
are
they're okay. Can we talk? Their coaching search has been hilarious. I don't even know what the Jets are doing. They have to hire a GM too, which I'm glad that it's the Jets. They get a fresh start, which congratulations. Oh, but yeah, well, the Jets, the Saints, kind of meh. I mean, the Raiders have the GM and head coach, but their quarterback situation and like outside of the fact that they have a clean slate, their situation is really not desirable. But I mean, they have a clean slate with the GM, so you can if a coach can really have that pull, if Brady pulls the strings, and hey, if they don't get a head coach, maybe Brady will just coach himself. So
he goes full Popovich? Like fuck it, I'm the general manager, but I'll run the team, I guess.
he'll just become Bill Belichick basically.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, he's in the booth though, which is very funny.
Oh no, he's leaving that booth. They're not letting him.
He's
He wasn't that good
leaving.
anyways. He wasn't that good, so I'm not upset. And then Bear's job, which I think is
Attractive, but it's
interesting outside
also
of the fact that you have to coach in hell,
you
both
have to
being
work with
cold
Ryan Poles.
outside and
It's like the same situation with like us in
yeah,
Chicago.
because
You have to work
polls
with
might not be as bad, but you have to work with polls, so you don't get your choice of GM. So you have to say, is this the guy I want to hitch my wagon to? Maybe a coach will say, I want to do work with Poles rather than Trent Baalke, which fair.
Yeah, I would too.
Heck.
But the
And
Jaguars
then
never want to make it easy.
Patriots, who
Drake
just
May,
have
I guess, but they were kind of a
they have
mess.
Drake
But
May. The roster is terrible.
that's the thing, though.
Created.
That's why who'd want to take a job, especially if you've been in the league long enough?
I mean,
Why
if
would you
you
want to
think
take a
Drake May
job
is
that
that
gets you?
good, then you maybe have a shot. It just depends on what's the GM, which they don't get to choose their GM there as well. So I feel all of the situations are kind of equally.
Raiders.
There's nothing that's amazing. The Jags would have been amazing if they fired Trent, but they didn't want to do that. So here we are in this doomsday scenario, just trying to survive. So we'll see how it works, man. I don't know who they're going to hire at this moment for sure. What do you think? What is your guess on when the Jags will hire the next head coach?
It's gonna be Ben Johnson. I'm convincing myself it will be him.
This
I
man is
think
him.
it's funny too, because even Shad mentioned in the interview, I'm open to changing my mind if somebody gives me good, bright ideas to
I
do
don't
that.
believe that. He's gonna. Well, Shot, I know that you think Ben Johnson's a great coach, but this Kellen Moore guy, you see, if you work with him, see, Ben's gonna want me to leave this building. But if you get Kellen in here, then with me and him, we can work together and we can build something from the ground up. We can restart what Doug finished. So I know you think that this Ben guy's all that, but just give me one more chance. Hmm. You know what, Trent? You're right. This Ben Johnson guy, he's not the one for my team. Hangs up the phone, and then 3 years later, Ben Johnson's winning a Super Bowl. That's the scenario I've convinced myself for living in, John. I hope you know that.
Yeah, that would turn you to the Joker, like right then and there. White face paint, grab the knife, make
I hope you
permanent
enjoyed my
scars.
Trent Baalke and Shad Khan impersonation.
Well, you have to fire the everyone, okay? Like what does cleaning house mean? Like I can't do shot for so long. I can't get the manners. Just a gun to the head constantly in this conversation. Really just the guns are at our heads and Trent Baalke or Shad Khan's the one with the trigger. He can just make this all easy.
Yeah.
He can make this easy. Trent Baalke's right there. You see the reception. I know you probably don't give a fuck about what the fans think. You didn't do it in
The fact that
2021.
they literally
You
had a
didn't do it
flyer over
2022.
flying saying fire Trent Baalke, and he said, "Nah, I'm good."
The people wearing the clown wigs and getting publicity, like all over social media, all over everything. We already know he's not like existent on social media ever. We know his son is, but guess what? When he was asked the question, "Hey, who do you listen to besides anyone inside is there anyone outside the building that you listen to? Like Bill Polian, Bill Belichick that you know before? Like who do you listen to?" He never mentioned his own damn son that runs an old fucking analytics company that is like top line for like all the major league sports and like baseball, soccer, the NFL. Everybody uses it, but no, you didn't listen to your own fucking son when it comes to who do you listen to? The guy who knows like who owns a whole like fucking company just running sports analytics. Like what the fuck? That pisses me off too. Because
There's
as
no
someone
way
that went to
that
school
I
that
won't. At a certain point, Tony has to step in and say, "Dad, this team is not being good." Like
no,
even if
he puts
Tony,
too much on his plate though with Fulham, fucking AEW. Like, it's my
at a
fault
certain,
because I pay money for this a lot.
at a
But
certain point, he's gonna have to let somebody handle it. At the
Brian
very least,
Danielson, yeah, give it to Brian Danielson and run the team. Like,
just listen to what he has. Even if Tony doesn't run the team, just listen because Tony's online, and I think Tony is at least even if he's not. I don't
he's
know.
that's the thing though. We know Shad and Tony care. It's just that Shad doesn't know what to do, and Tony's busy doing whatever the fuck he wants to do with Fulham and AEW. I guess whatever. At least Fulham are consistent in the Premier League
Yeah,
now.
man. Fulham,
They're consistently in there.
solid. I ain't gonna lie.
As long as they're making that Premier League money, they're happy. Fuck European football.
I'm sorry about Everton.
I mean, I'm not an Everton fan. I thought it
Not
was just
Everton.
hilarious, Sean Dyche. I'm a couple Evertonian fans, so I feel bad for them, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, just fire Trent Baalke, man. Why'd you make it this harder than it needs to be? Like, what the fuck? I mean, this episode is just gonna be called the definition of insanity because we're here again. Like, that's just how I feel. What supporting this football team has been
I'm
like
sitting
since
here going half crazy.
all of around me are familiar faces.
There's like, all
Or
around me are familiar faces, worn out places. I'm going to shoot myself. If Trent Baalke is still the GM, ruining draft picks, blowing free agents, and I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which Trent's dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you. I find it hard to take. The Jags have got me in a very, very mad world. I hate that I had to do
that
that.
was that's fire. That's being clipped and being uploaded to the
I
Twitter.
hate, I hate,
That's
I
being
hate that
clipped
this
and
is what this
loaded.
team has made me do, bro.
That was a
That's really
fight.
how I feel. The dreams in which Trent's died. That was a bar, low key.
That was. I mean,
I hate that I had to
golly,
do
that
that.
was good as shit. I'd say silence. Hold on, let me let this man cook, and he cooked. He cooked with the fire. Trent Baalke, he deserves some burning fire,
That's all the
bro.
karaoke I did at the Jags tailgates. It got me in a musical mood. I'm sorry.
I mean, golly, man.
We're never gonna be good. Oh well, at least I have you. I just accepted my fate, but at least I have John. We
Yeah,
could be
we
fresh.
have Udribal, we have Balatro, we have the
Oh,
whole world. Yeah, wait, what the fuck? Like, when did you start playing Balatro?
okay. So off tangent, right? What happened is, so there's a
Yeah,
game called Dave the Diver, and
yeah.
really good game. I love it. Like I've been playing it. I have almost 20 hours, and the card game in there is based off Balatro, but I didn't
Hmm.
even know that. I was just playing the card game. And then I thought, okay, this card game is really interesting. I didn't fully understand it, but I said, okay, it's kind of cool, you know. And then I looked, yeah, I just saw on Reddit that, oh, the card game actually just Balatro. So I said, wait, it is? So I looked it up. I said, huh, it's just the same card game. So after I already played it from Dave the Diver, because I already heard about Balatro before, but I just thought, okay, I looked at it. And then I actually played it. I basically got to play it for free, which made me convinced. I said, wait, this game's kind of fun, but weird. Like, how do I use it? So now that because of the exposure from Dave the Diver, which fun fact, in the actual Bellagio app, when you buy it, they have Dave. Some of the cards, one of the
Yeah,
cards you
they
can
have
use is from
special
Dave the
decks.
Diver. One of the cards you can use is from Dave the Diver. So I thought it was a little nice tribute because I didn't
They,
realize that was a game until it was in there. So that actually made me buy it, which is pretty fun actually. I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie.
no, I don't
Getting the
want to look.
multipliers, I don't know how to get all the multipliers sometimes. I just kind of be hoping it works, and sometimes it does,
You
sometimes it doesn't.
just
So
you have to take your time and look at the specific decks or the specific jokers and say, "Hey, can this stack onto one another?" Because there's like a joker that makes every card be treated like face cards, and then there's
yeah.
another joker that reactivates every single face card that you do. So you guys kind of have to like keep an eye out for the different jokers. Once you get more hours, you get more familiar how you do it. Because I've gotten to ante 11 in Balatro. I haven't gone past 11 yet, but the fact that I got to do that was like, God damn, this is sick as hell.
It kind of,
But
yeah. I saw someone comp it to Slay the Spire, and I understand it now in a way, in a weird way, because I actually do want to keep playing because everything is fresh. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've been playing that and also just playing a lot of Marvel Rivals lately. So obviously I've been trying to get out of. I got out of gold today, so platinum I'm coming to free in season one,
Yeah, but
and then
I need to get back to Tekken 8, but yeah, Balatra's been ruining my life since I've had it. Since I work at, the Apple store here in town, that I basically get Apple Arcade for free. I get Apple Arcade,
ah,
Apple Music, and
it
Apple
does have
TV
Apple. It is on
free.
Apple Arcade, so
Yep, so I legit got the free trial for Apple Arcade. So let me try this out. So I just sitting with my iPad and I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Like every time like I like play the game, it's like I can't put it down. I'll play for at least 3 hours every time I open the app. The only thing that doesn't work for me is the audio for some reason. Maybe I gotta restart my iPad and just let it go. But I want to listen to because apparently the soundtrack is good for the game too. So
The soundtrack
I
is pretty nice.
okay, so I do need to probably just restart my iPad, see if I can get the audio working again. But yeah, I was like, God damn, this shit's fire, you know? So shout out Balatro, made by one person. Like, what the fuck? How does that happen to just take off? But other than that, like, let's hope the Jaguars get their cards in place because it's not a bad hand to be dealt taking over this team. Maybe we're just seeing them rose tinted glasses and we see the
I'm not seeing
positivity.
it. No, I'm seeing it through poop stand cover glasses.
Yeah, you're seeing it in the hellfire that is being flamed on by Trent Baalke, which, you know, at fair point as well. So we'll see where this goes. We'll leave it at that. I don't know when we're ever gonna record again. I guess we're not gonna record until we get a head coach. I feel like we need to get a guest to kind of whoever
Yeah,
we
we
hire, we
should
need
get a
someone.
guest to make it special.
Yeah, I wonder who we're gonna get. I mean, the last guest we had, I think, was Gus. Like, I didn't even like call in any of like the people that we've had before. Like, we need to get one of the people that asked a very good question too.
Then we can ask, not even just we can talk maybe some draft too, because I'm already, it's
In
always
that
it
mindset.
was draft
I already
season
have
in
my three.
October.
Like, yeah, we can talk about it a little bit too. I mean, Will
Get me
Johnson,
Mason
Mason Graham, or
Graham.
Ted
Get me
McMillan.
Mason Graham, bro. If they don't get Travis Hunter, get me Mason Graham. I'm if they actually do get Robert Saleh, he's going to want to rush the pass with four players. They can't do that right now. They have the worst interior pass rush in the league. Maybe you have Mason Smith who flashes off, which maybe you just don't guarantee because you didn't see enough flashes because you didn't play enough because that's a whole nother rant in itself. Eric Armstead, even if he plays more defensive tackle, when he played defensive tackle, he was fine. I don't think he was a game changer though. So there's
It's
no
okay.
guarantee. Even then, he's still in his 30s on a 3 year. He's gonna have 2 more years left on his contract. You could still draft Mason Graham, have him learn from Eric Armstead, and then even if he is, if if he actually has some juice left, you have a three-man rotation of Eric, Mason, and Mason, and then you just have Josh and Trevon, and you can get consistent interior pressure to complement Josh and Trevon. Then okay, you can actually function and build a defense. But until they get a pass rush inside, they're never going to be a good defense. I love Will Johnson. I think he's going to be a great pro if he's a consolation prize. I think it's fine. But I just think if they can actually just get an interior pass rush and they prioritize that and start the defense from there, then the defense will have the best shot of becoming good quickly. Because if they can just get the pass rush there, then they can make the secondary just cover for zero point 0.5 seconds less longer.
Yeah, but what about a guy like Zach McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona?
I mean, if they want to go full offense and they want to score, try to go for 30 points, and the offense is fun, I wouldn't hate Ted. Even if he is just kind of their T. Higgins in a way, they take him at five. I still think Mason Graham to me makes the most sense, but Trent Baalke, Michigan defensive tackle, arm length, we know how this goes. So I'm prepared for the worst.
Yeah, I think we had a very productive conversation. Whoever is interviewing for the Jaguars starting, well, it was starting today, right? All the interviews. Like, let's hope that all the interviews go well for the guys that we want. And if we get somebody we don't want, you're gonna hear it either way from this YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, but did we give the shout out to the one person, like the reason why we're doing this today?
ZenithRx, shout out to you, man. I saw your comment on Reddit about how you put Jagged Edge in all caps, so we're gonna tag you if you can. Not in a creepy way, just in a thank you for inspiring us. We did this for you, man.
No,
Or,
absolutely.
or women. It could be they them. Got to be pronoun correct these days.
Yeah, it's 2025, man.
We don't discriminate.
We're not assholes. We're inclusive around these parts.
Yeah, if
For
Trent
Jaguar
was
fans,
on, we
man.
hate her just as much still.
Yeah, exactly. Much love to everyone except for Trent Baalke. You should lose your job. So fucking terrible. But at this point, we
I
don't
still
care.
can't believe I did that Mad World skit. I really can't believe this is what happens when we've done haven't been in a while. We just really go crazy.
We support a 4-13 football team willingly. We still wear the gear. We still wear the gear
You need some help.
forever and
You need
ever.
psychiatric help.
I paid thousands of dollars to watch this football team last year. Like, and we'll probably do it again this year so I can get access to the stadium of the future. No, I hate it. Yeah, I know. Shoot me. I know. I
I
know.
will.
That- Oh, Javal, I love you, buddy.
You
We're here
too. We're the
together no
same
matter
thing.
what. So whatever the Jaguars do, God forbid, please just make it a good move. Any
Let's be
final words
realistic.
before we rest up for the night? Gotta throw my comforter in the dryer so I
Well,
can actually
just
sleep tonight.
to all the fans out there, appreciate you for no, it's been a wait. So sorry to keep y'all waiting. We've just been going crazy for this football team. But we're gonna try our best 2025 to get a little bit, especially with the draft around the corner for agency coaching staff. We'll have some more pods during that time. So we'll have hopefully more to talk about with some guests as well. So appreciate y'all for
Yeah.
hanging on in there. And yeah, that's that's mainly it. So I already did my ad in the middle of the pod. So
My final thoughts is just please do something good, Jacksonville. We're gonna play Balatro until then, though. So Javal,
well, I'll be
have a
on Marvel
one.
Rivals as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm gonna be on Balatro probably.
Have
I
you
don't know if
seen
I should get
Invisible
it for
Woman?
Steam. What one?
Have you seen Invisible Woman?
I've
Hey,
seen the memes. That's all I've seen
the
of it.
Gooner skins, that's what's making the game free to play. And hey, if it makes the game free to play, I'm all for it.
Shout out Aru, apparently who's the ass model, like he's claiming to be the ass model for Marvel Rivals. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that, but
The ass, because
he
I only knew about her.
his work is making the game free to play. So you know what?
Yeah,
Salute
but
you, man. I respect you.
yeah, the Gooners are making it work, huh? But the thing is that Aru, who is a Twitch streamer, and I only knew her because of her Tekken content because she's a Tekken player as well. So the fact that she's yeah, I'm the ass model for Psylocke, and then she claims it again for like all the new characters. Like I was like, God damn it! Like what is going on here? What is this timeline for Marvel Rivals popping off? But hey, that's good. I just don't know if I'll ever go back to Overwatch shooters, man, because I lost a lot of my college life to Overwatch
No,
when that
but
first
Marvel
came out.
Rivals with Overwatch was better though.
You think so? I think it's
I
better.
I've played Overwatch 2. I mean, I didn't fall in love with it.
Nobody
I
likes
think
Overwatch 2 though. It doesn't, especially
okay, but
after
I
the
think
all.
even people who've played Overwatch 1 have said, "Oh, this game is better." Because A, you have all the characters unlocked from the start, so you don't have to worry about, okay,
It was like that for
um,
Overwatch 2, man. It was
well,
like,
yeah, but even we have all the characters unlocked from the start. And then two is what I think some of the characters really feel as if they're Marvel characters with the abilities, and
yeah, that's
that's what
fair.
really
That's what
amazing.
stands out about it.
Like
Yeah, that's fair.
Spider-Man can crawl under walls and he can swing around. Doctor Strange can open portals. You have Iron Man who's flying around, who's firing missiles and maximum pulsing single mothers. It's crazy. Everything about the game is just really feel like you can have Hulk and jump onto walls and then you charge in the fight, but even so you have the Bruce Banner phase where you actually turn into Banner. And then there's just so much about the game where and for just the fact that it just started a month ago and they're already adding more content in the future, a lot more content that's coming too, and the game already just feels so fresh. I tell people it's free to play. You should just try it. And if you don't like it, that's fair. But I've already put about 50 hours into this game and it came out
Jeff
last
the
year.
Shark. That's also what I know about Marvel, right? Like
You
your
mean the
face. Apparently, one of my friends is a Jeff the Shark man. That's why I know about Jeff the Shark.
he's no terrorist. That's all
That's a
he Trent
terrorist.
Baalke would play Jeff the Shark. That's all I
Oh,
know. Trent Baalke would play Jeff the Land Shark for sure. He's a terrorist.
I seen the memes of the Doctor Strange like countering it too, which I thought was pretty funny. Like, just see some memes about it. I should give it a go one day.
It's really
I
fun.
have a weird off day on Monday next week. I might give it a go Monday if you're free Monday.
Trust me, if you ever do want to play Monday, let me know because I it's I haven't enjoyed a multiplayer game
In a
this
long
much
time,
in
right?
a long time. And the fact that
Who I
I'll
probably
play it with
yeah. I need to play support to start off because I can't be damage or whatever the fuck or tank or whatever. I'll find a support that'll
if you
probably
want to
match
play,
my
yeah,
vibes.
support's really fun because some of the some of the supports are they can kind of even do damage themselves.
Yeah.
Mantis is probably one of the best supports because she can just have a little stamina that she can just If she gets headshots, she can actually shred and do damage. And then she has a stun too, so even if someone dies, you can stun them and then get the headshots and kill them. Mantis is really good. Luna Snow, everyone's K-pop. Oh, her ultimate is broken. It's disgusting. I hope they nerf it. They barely nerfed it. I don't know why her ultimate, you just don't die for 10 seconds. But she's a really good healer too. And she's fun, K-pop idol. So the healers are pretty fun. They got Rocket Raccoon. So
Oh,
he's pretty
nice.
underrated. If you want to play as Rocket, he can fly around, revive people. So the healers are pretty fun. They have Loki's really interesting because he has clones. He can swap between the clones, and
Oh,
then
so he's basically like Zenyatta.
he
That's
can.
Overwatch for
I'm
like
trying to. There's
swapping
someone
different
else that's similar to Zenyatta.
Moira.
I'm trying to remember who.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of
Trying
it in an Overwatch sense because that's the only thing I can compare it to, which is, the comparable game to it. But,
I
nobody
think they
fucks with
said
Overwatch
that
anymore.
Adam Warlock was Zenyatta.
Oh, okay.
Let me double check though. Oh no, they said it was kind of similar to well, some also Luna. But yeah, some of the heroes can do damage too. I
Hmm.
wouldn't say yeah, I guess Cloak and Dagger is kind of like Moira in that she can
Okay,
just
Moira. Yeah.
but she can Cloak and Dagger also has some insane healing and they're getting buffed. So they kind of just have two modes where they can do damage. They can do a lot of damage burst, mid range, or they but Moira has more long range. Well, but yeah, so I guess those kind of similar. I really do
Okay.
think that if you even if you semi enjoy some of Overwatch, you should give it a go because
Yeah.
that it's better. And trust me, bro. Once I need to get to platinum next season, so I go crazy.
Yeah,
I love
like
playing Paul.
because the characters I played in Overwatch were like Mercy because she was easy. I use Zarya, big Russian girl, like buff Russian woman, but
Yeah,
and then it was Diva as well. I thought Diva was a lot of fun.
there's a carrier similar to Diva. I
Okay.
guess kind of well. This is another mech character. She doesn't get out the suit, but Penny's really fun. Penny Parker is
Oh, Penny
really
Parker. Okay.
she's probably one of my favorite tanks to play in the right situations.
Ooh.
I've carried a team as Penny a couple times, just because her defense is really fun once you get the hang of it. She just
Okay.
has unlimited ammo, so she just kind of keeps firing away. It's
Bet.
not crazy damage, but you just keep firing away because you don't have to reload. So Penny's once you get the hang of Penny in certain scenarios, she's really fun. And then yeah, a lot of the supports. I know they're gonna buff some too. So season one's gonna come out literally tomorrow. So
Ooh.
that's a good time to check it out when the new buffs drop out. Meta will
Okay.
change a little bit. But yeah, man, I
Tomorrow.
could gush about that game literally for another 20, 30
I
minutes.
don't have to work until 5 o'clock Saturday if I try to go hop on tomorrow night if I got energy too. So if you're down tomorrow, I'll try to give it a shot tomorrow.
I'll see,
Hold
but
me to it because I will try it on. It's on my console. I just gotta boot it up, whatever. It's legit just been sitting there.
okay, well I'll see, but yeah, man, I will. That's I've had video games to help hide the pain of football. So as you can tell,
I think I just need new, fresh games to play because I was it's funny before I picked up Balacha, I was telling Bree, my wife, I don't know, man. I just haven't played a lot of video games that intrigue me. Once I picked up Balacha, I was like, oh shit. So it's like,
trust me,
it's a cycle.
if you enjoy Overwatch, you'll enjoy Rivals. I promise
I
you.
definitely will if I give it a go. That's what maybe that's why I'm scared because I'll be like fully like back into it. I picked up Helldivers 2 back too recently
Oh,
with
you
my
trust
wife.
me, John. You will be so back. You will be so back. I promise you.
All right. I think we'll leave it at that. We need to end up with a little bit of positivity with this football team. So Javal, thank you again for talking. We legit talked for like over an hour and a half just catching
Almost
up.
hour and a half, yeah.
Like we needed it though because this football team frustrating, but we get this is what it's all about. We get to talk with our fellow friends, fellow Jaguar fans to just talk the pain away a little bit and hope that the pain goes away one day, even though it'll probably not.
Nope. I
Oh well. All right, Javal.
you have
Have
a
a good
good
night.
minute. All right. Shout out to you.
You have a good night.